If you're a man in your late 20s, 30s, or 40s, and you feel off, not sick, not broken, just not yourself, you're not imagining it, and you're not alone. Your father's generation had stress too. They worked hard too. But many men today feel a specific kind of tired, wired, inflamed, unmotivated, and under-recovered, even when life looks fine on paper. Today, I'm going to explain why, not as a rant, not as a conspiracy, but as a physiology story. How modern life pushes male biology in a direction that feels worse, long before it becomes a diagnosis. Why modern men feel worse than their fathers did. Here's the premise. Modern men aren't weaker. The environment is simply more biologically expensive. Your body pays a price for disrupted sleep and circadian rhythm, ultra-processed food, low movement plus high sitting, chronic stress signaling, environmental exposures, and social disconnection. And the body doesn't pay that price all at once. It pays it gradually, as lower energy, worse mood, less drive, more fat storage, less resilience, and slower recovery. Some population research has reported age-independent declines in testosterone across cohorts in the US, suggesting broader health and environmental influences. On the reproductive side, large meta-analyses have reported declines in sperm concentration and total sperm count over time. Those are not the whole story, but they're signals that something is changing. So let's walk through the biggest drivers. The circadian problem. You can't outgrind biology. Your father's world was tiring. But for many men today, tiredness comes with misalignment. Circadian rhythm isn't a wellness trend. It's the timing system that coordinates hormones, appetite signals, glucose handling, sleep architecture, and mood regulation. Modern life creates a daily mismatch. Bright screens late, inconsistent sleep windows, irregular meals, and stress that never fully shuts off. Even if national averages don't show a clean sleep cliff, insufficient sleep remains common, and circadian disruption changes how you feel. Appetite, cravings, energy, motivation, and stress tolerance. This is why modern men often describe themselves as tired but can't rest. That's not moral failure. That's biology receiving mixed signals. Ultra-processed food, the quiet inflammation tax. Your father's generation didn't eat perfectly. But the default food environment today is different. Ultra-processed foods aren't just calories. They're engineered for texture, flavor, speed, and shelf life, often disconnected from whole ingredients. Large cohort studies and umbrella reviews have found higher ultra-processed food consumption associated with higher mortality and cardiometabolic risk patterns. This isn't about blame. It's about recognizing the default environment is built to push you off course. And what does that feel like in daily life? Not heart disease on day one. It feels like brain fog, low energy, stubborn fat, and low drive. Movement disappeared. Sitting took over. Your father's generation often had more built-in movement. Today, you can live an entire week mostly seated. Large analyses show prolonged sedentary time is associated with higher mortality risk, especially when physical activity is low. And that higher activity can reduce or offset some of the risk. Even step count research shows a consistent relationship. More daily steps, lower mortality risk up to a point. Low movement doesn't just affect weight. It affects insulin sensitivity, mood, sleep quality, and stress buffering. So men feel more anxious, more sluggish, and less resilient because their physiology has fewer pressure release valves. Large analyses show prolonged sedentary time is associated with higher mortality risk, especially when physical activity is low, and that higher activity can reduce or offset some of the risk. Even step count research shows a consistent relationship. More daily steps, lower mortality risk up to a point. Low movement doesn't just affect weight. It affects insulin sensitivity, mood, sleep quality, and stress buffering. So men feel more anxious, more sluggish, and less resilient, because their physiology has fewer pressure release valves. Chemical exposures. The modern variable nobody volunteered for. This part gets weird online, so let's keep it grounded. Endocrine disrupting chemicals are a real area of scientific concern. Major professional organizations have summarized evidence that certain exposures can interfere with hormone action and may be associated with adverse health effects. Is this one factor the entire explanation? No. But is it a variable that decades ago existed at the same level, in the same packaging-heavy world? Also no. The point isn't panic. The point is, modern life includes biological variables that weren't part of the baseline. And when those variables stack with poor sleep, high stress, low movement, and ultra-processed food, men feel it. The social factor. Loneliness changes the body. Now let's talk about the one nobody expects in a men's health video: connection. Not having followers, real social support. Large meta-analyses have shown social relationships are associated with improved survival odds, while loneliness and social isolation are associated with increased mortality risk. When men feel worse than their fathers did, part of the story is that many men are more alone while being more connected digitally. Loneliness doesn't just hurt emotionally. It raises stress signaling, disrupts sleep, and changes behavior. It's biology again. The point of all this. So if you feel worse than your father did, it may not be because you're failing. It may be because you're living inside an environment that interrupts sleep and circadian timing, normalizes ultra-processed food, replaces movement with sitting, adds new exposures, and fractures community. And the body responds the way bodies respond. It adapts until it can't. The good news is that many of these inputs are modifiable, not with magic hacks, but with structured, realistic changes that restore biological order. If this video gave you language for what you've been feeling, that's the goal. This channel is about male biology in the modern world. Clear, grounded, and not hype. And if you want the full framework, how these systems connect, why normal isn't always fine, and how to think in patterns, my book is The Quiet Fall of Men. You'll find it linked below. If this video gave you language for what you've been feeling, that's the goal. This channel is about male biology in the modern world. Clear, grounded, and not hype. And if you want the full framework, how these systems connect, why normal isn't always fine, and how to think in patterns, my book is The Quiet Fall of Men. You'll find it linked below. Like, subscribe, and comment. What feels different about life now compared to the men before us? Sleep, stress, food, relationships, or something else?